Hey friends, TUXX here. I find it super hard to believe that I've had this amazing Sony NW-A306 since February. Okay, so we're talking, it's been, like 8 months roughly since I've had this, and this has done a great job for me. It definitely is still something which I greatly enjoy. And I really had a chance to put this to the test recently when flying from Key West to, it was New York. And it was a situation where I had a choice. I could either listen to my Xperia 1 Mark V or I could listen to the NW-A306. So really it can be a tough decision between these two devices. And I did have a chance during this long flight to listen to both, and what I actually ended up listening to the most was the NW-A306. And the reason why really is the quality. They both sound really good and they both have their own pros and cons. I say the big pro to the Xperia 1 Mark V basically is the fact that I think it is a little bit louder than this, okay? And they have improved the volume situation with this since its launch via software updates. It is louder than it was, and I still think it's plenty loud, especially when using normal headphones like, the Sony earbuds or the Sony, the 1005s, like it really isn't a problem. If you're using some like super expensive, high ohm audiophile headphone, maybe you will have an issue where you need an amplifier, but it's very enjoyable without an amplifier. The reason for this video, though, besides just kind of catching up with, this, I wanted to talk about some of the Q&A. So going back here, I'm going to take a look at the questions you guys have been asking me during, various videos that involve my MP3 players. So let's go ahead and take a look here. I will go ahead and check out comments from this. Some of the top comments I get time and time again are people mention this cassette player screensaver. They love this, and I love this too. In fact, when I first got this, I was kind of thinking, okay, is that cassette going to be like a gimmick that I'm gonna be bored of? And no, it not only is functional, like it says the name of the band and the album right there, and changes when the song changes, which is really neat. Okay, and the fact that it's motion, it looks like it really is a cassette playing, is really cool too. But it gives props back to an older day of music, and with vinyl coming back and like people making mixtapes and stuff, and like it really it helps celebrate the legacy of the Walkman. And I wish this was on other players. People have said, hey TUXX, is it on the Xperia 1 Mark V? And the answer is no, it's not. And I really wish it was, because it is a great screensaver, and it really is something which people seem to really enjoy. It really is something that celebrates music as a whole, but ultimately it is on this, which is a dedicated, HD music player. This, of course, is again the NW-A306, which I will have a link for both these two devices down below, okay, so you can check them out. But people said, like one reader wrote, I still hope Sony will make a cassette Walkman comeback, since artists today are continuously releasing on cassettes and albums. True, I wish they would as well. Another person wrote, I grew up with cassettes and still have my collection, so like you, I really dig the screensaver. I really do dig the screensaver. And they mentioned they wish it worked on Tidal and other things too. They did say thank you for covering Tidal. They believe that is the best sound in their opinion, which Tidal is really good. It truly is. I really think though the best sound from this really has to be listening to your own high quality MP3, like FLAC files, or in my case, the best quality ones I have are DSF files. And you really catch some of those HD things that you will not catch listening to, a streamed thing on, Apple or Amazon or, whatever music of the month of the club kind of thing you want to listen to. It really is good to listen to, your own MP3s, which are of the highest quality you can get your hands on. And again, I love the fact that the screensaver changes based on the quality. Like I know that looking at this particular Death Cab for Cutie CD, well, I guess in this case it is a FLAC file, it is of good quality. It's probably the second best quality that I have on my player, which is good. So I know it's really good, but I strive for all of them to become the best quality, which is that white here, I'll show you here. Let me go back here. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, maybe you might not even have an MP3 that is of this quality. It's very possible, because I only have a few of them, quite frankly. So if I go, I think the Beatles is one. I'm not even a big Beatles fan, to tell you the truth, but I really appreciate the fact that the quality is so good. See that white? That is like the highest quality screensaver indicator. So that means you have like a super high quality. In this case, it's a DSF file, so definitely digging it. Other stuff, thank you for the review. Also, I noticed you have a very nice music selection in your player. Thank you. This is a standard like little micro card that I stick into all my music players. You can go back in my queue and see I have a number of videos on different brands. I'm a big fan of Ritsu and a lot of other brands actually, but this one is, I think, the most feature rich, and I really enjoy this player a lot. It's really great. It's the only one that has this really cool screensaver too, but thanks for appreciating my music collection. It's a little random, I know. Anyways, next person, thanks for a great review. I don't know if you've used the Audible app, but if listening to Audiobook in Audible, they mentioned that if you press the physical rewind or forward button on the side of the device, it goes back 30 seconds, okay? Or go back per chapter. That's something which, I'll be honest, I've not listened to a lot of audio books on this device yet. Audiobooks are great for long trips, there's no doubt. Like plane rides to New York, yeah, like that'd be great. Or a long drive or something, heck yeah. But I tend to listen to music, But I'll look into that and see about the skipping part. I believe it's truly just a fast forward, unless it's been programmed by Audible to be a chapter search, which in most cases, I think it would be like a CD where it goes by chapter, but it may have options for both. But I'll look more into that. Sorry about that. I may have a whole Audible like video coming up down the road. Another person, hi, thanks for the very detailed and excellent review. Thank you. They have one question. They use the Sony LDAC Bluetooth headphones, and they're wondering, basically, on an Android phone, it says they transmit about 550 kilobytes. My mp3 files are encoded at 320, so still enough reserve. Would I hear a difference on the Sony player? If it's a 320 mp3, I believe that it would really be about the same quality. And this does have a lot of cool features that even the Xperia 1 Mark V phone does not have. Okay, so that's one of the benefits of this over the phone, is the fact that it does have some different filters that work good. And there's some cases, and I've covered this in a few of my videos, where I might turn the filter off on this, but then turn it on in the phone, because there are two different players with two different sets of digital filters. Both are excellent and above a lot of other players, but they're not like exactly the same. There's different ones on each player. Okay, so keep that in mind. I'd say if you're planning on listening to the highest quality music files, this is the player to go with. Now, if the most important thing is having one device in your pocket, you can't beat the Sony Xperia 1 Mark V for just having one device, because you can still have a headphone jack, you can still play FLAC files, you cannot play certain, I had problems playing DSF files on the Sony phone, but they'll play on here, they sure will, and they sound amazing. Oh my gosh, all the little things, the little touches you didn't hear before, you hear, and you're like, oh my god, is this like a different recording? And you're like, no, it's just a really high quality recording that you can hear all these little touches that you missed before, so good stuff. I'm definitely still a fan of listening to the different high quality mp3s, even bands I don't listen to. I find I'm interested in hearing like the highest quality things. Like I don't listen to like the Beach Boys or Beatles that much, but I have them on here because it's really interesting hearing some of like the high quality recordings, because even back in the day when they recorded them, even though it was like old tech, if you will, tube amps and things like that, and not a lot of digital filtering, they recorded things really well. Okay, so a lot of those old recordings really do stand up and hold up really well on vinyl or high quality music files on a high quality HD player. Okay, other questions, someone said here in Spanish, they're asking about the WH-1000X M4s, okay, and I have the newer one, which is the XM5. Again, video in my queue if you want to check out the unboxing or a few follow-ups on it, but that's the large cone headphones, and those do sound excellent, okay, but I will say my go-to, honestly, those little new Sony earbuds, noise-canceling earbuds, are excellent, and I will have a link for those down below as well. That's my go-to for listening to things, but if you really want to get the full experience of HD music, again, you can't beat using, a headphone jack right there, there, little 3.5 wired headphones, you know, into a high quality headphone set like the Sony 1005s. And the 1004s do a good job too. They're slightly, the 1005 is a little updated. Okay. A few more questions here for you. Hello, does it have any option to turn off the Wi-Fi completely? Yes, it's just like a phone. This is an Android device. So you can go through here and you can see there's Wi-Fi, and here you can turn it off just like a phone. Turn on, turn it off. Okay, so you do have an option, and it does save battery life. So if you're not really planning on streaming anything, actually having it turned off isn't a terrible idea to actually save battery life. And it's one less process running. So, you know, more of the actual computing power on this device can really go to giving you that super HD music experience, you know. So I generally leave it off unless I'm streaming, you know. Another person wrote, I don't know what idea you had, but the backlighting from the bottom in this case interferes with the viewing of your Walkman. Yeah, I'm sorry guys. Like, I have a lot of problems sometimes with lighting. I do a lot of videos on different things, and sometimes it's always a challenge when doing videos on things like this device here, because too much lighting can create an issue where you can't see the device, and not enough lighting, like if I don't have the backlighting over here, it's a problem where it looks to me not right. Like, I like to have a little backlight. I don't want it to be black around the corners, but if you really like it like that, maybe I can make some changes in the future, but I tend to have a low backlighting, so sorry about that. Maybe there's some way you can adjust the lights on your, you know, display somehow, but if you have particular problems it causes, let me know on email, tuxtoys@gmail.com. I'd love to hear more about that. Okay, another question here. I keep hearing complaints about low volume. Is it powerful enough to drive items of a medium impedance headphones comfortably? Okay, again, this is something where if you're talking about using, you know, any of the flagship Sony headphones, this device will have no problems playing them. You know, it definitely can deal with those like nice new modern headphones. Here, let me switch back here so we can see the song. So it's the type of thing where it will have not a problem doing that. But if you are using like really, you know, super expensive high ohm audiophile headphones, you might need an amp, you know, because I still think this is a little bit lower in volume than the One Mark V phone. Okay, so if volume is the whole thing, the phone might actually be a little bit louder. But the thing is that this is a little bit better in quality, so it's a trade-off. Hopefully, maybe they'll fix the volume issue with some more future updates. But for right now, I think it sounds good and loud, you know, but it's the type of thing where the phone is a little bit louder. Okay. All right. Just got more questions here. How is the screen response time? From the video, it looks a bit slow to the touch. Okay. Okay. A couple things about screen response time. It's a very quick, touchy screen, which I like, but it's not perfect. Okay. And one thing which I do that interferes with my unit sometimes is I stick in a very large memory card, perhaps larger than I should right there. Okay. And sometimes by having an extra large memory card in, when it has to search for music or whatever, that can make the screen lag a little bit more. A smaller memory card, and of course using a highest quality memory card possible, can actually help make it be snappier, you know. So part of it probably is the player slightly, and part of it probably is the memory card. Plus I have another problem too, which I'll talk about, where I have a problem where when I put music on the player, sometimes as much as I want to go to the memory card, sometimes it goes to the actual onboard memory. And that's the thing where it's probably user error. It's probably me just not paying enough attention. I'm all excited listening to a new song or something, so I pop it on here, and then it ends up going on to the actual, you know, unit itself, the hard drive in the unit. And before you know it, then all of a sudden I'm using up space, and then that lack of space of memory to run the onboard, you know, functions of the player create lag and that kind of thing. So it's really good to personally use a memory card, try and keep the player free, kind of like you know, create the SSD on a computer just being for Windows, and then using like another drive, you know, for everything else. So just a thought. Okay, another question here for you. The on-screen keyboard on my A306 is what they call it, but I mean, it's the NW-A306, suddenly has disappeared in favor of voice controls. I can't stand voice controls. The one on my model, I can barely recognize anything Is there a way to bring it back? Yeah, I mean, there's two options. I'm sure under settings there's something for turning off the voice controls. And honestly, if you screw up anything beyond the point of you being able to fix it, there always is like a system restore where you can pull out the memory cards, all your music is out of the player, and then you can reset this to factory specs. And that's a great way to go. Sometimes just refreshing it every now and then isn't a terrible idea. And I definitely recommend, even though this has the option of downloading a lot of extra third-party apps. Again, this is basically an Android phone without the cell phone tower connecting to it. It's a thing where you can, but should you? Probably not. The more processes, weird games, YouTube's, TikToks, whatever you put on here, it all kind of eats up the memory a little bit, and it's one more process to potentially bog down the unit. So it's good to actually, keep it as pure to music as possible, and then use your cell phone for those other games and apps and that kind of thing. That way it's not going to affect your music at all, because your music you want to be on this to be honestly the best it can be. All right, one more question here at random. Let me scroll down here. Okay, another user wrote, when will Sony actually notice the large analog cassette boom at the beginning? Sony has made excellent Walkmans, but they need to dig out the old plans. Okay. I think what they're referring to here is some people say that when you first start a song, you hear like a noticeable pop. Okay. On my player, I really don't notice that. I really don't. But I have heard this from some people that perhaps it's the thing where it's when it switches songs, when it's kind of like, if you stick a needle on a record, you're gonna hear that shh, like that needle, hitting the vinyl before it hits music kind of sound. It's like a little bit of a noise. And that could be, if you do have the vinyl, this actually has an option to turn on kind of a vinyl simulator, and that might be perhaps what they're hearing, but I think they're just basically saying that every time a new song begins, before the music kicks in loud, they hear something just slightly in the background, and that could be annoying, and I get that too. I would definitely check. I'd probably go back to defaults on the player, add in like just one or two mp3 files, or preferably FLAC or better files that are perfect, the best sounding files you have, and then listen to it and see if you still get that weird popping thing, and trying to determine, is this something you only hear on a streaming service? Is this something you only hear on certain MP3s? Why is that sound in there? It's probably caused by something, and it probably isn't a defective player, but you never know. If your player is defective, exchange it, get a new one, and then you can actually enjoy it, that much more without hearing that noise. And again, my player doesn't do that, so I can't really speak from experience on that one, but I have heard that complaint enough that it seems like some people do have a problem with that, and that could be a number of different issues causing that problem. All right, guys, I hope that video helps. If you guys have any Q&A, reach out to me. Yes, I still am using this player. Yes, I still love this player. I carry this with me a lot. I carry the Sony Xperia 1 Mark V phone with me all the time. I love this a lot too. They're both great devices with slightly different, different things in mind. The idea behind this is the best possible music reproduction on a player, which is about $350. Okay. The idea behind this is an amazing cell phone that also happens to have a headphone jack and does great music playing, but this has some features that the phone does not have. So even though the phone is more expensive, you think it'd have every single feature of this. It doesn't have every feature. It's got quite a few, but some of the filtering on this is not on that. Okay. All right. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. I really appreciate it. I'll have links for all these products down below in the description. And again, if you have any questions about audiophile stuff, about music, please let me know in the comments, or shoot me a message to tuxtoys@gmail.com. All right. Christmas is coming up. This would make an amazing gift. Think about giving someone you love MP3 player, maybe with some of their favorite songs on it, or songs that make like a mixtape, but put it on a flash drive and give to a girlfriend or something. Like that could be an amazing gift, something that's really appreciated and loved, but between friends. So very good stuff. Anyway, click the link. Talk to you soon, friends. Bye bye.